her skin so clear I swore I could see the blood pumping through her veins. "You have I made a motion around my eye, indicating the bruise I'd just seen, and she nodded mutely. "I don't like that someone did that to you," I explained, and she nodded again. Her gaze shifted to the left, letting her guard down enough to check for the person who'd been driving. "Mom?" she whispered, her hand reaching out to the empty space of the driver's seat. "Mom?" she said a little louder, frantically trying to undo the seatbelt that had saved her life. "Mom?" Hey, it's okay. My friend is checking on her," I soothed, already suspecting her mom was dead, but unable to say anything as I took in her frightened expression. "Can you get out?" I asked instead, and she nodded, trying to step out of the car, but the seatbelt caught her once again. "Here, let me get it, okay?" I kept my movement slow, reaching around her, my thumb brushing the delicate bone of her hip as I released the seatbelt. She practically fell out, and only my arm kept her from hitting the ground. I lifted her gently on her feet, her weight nothing, her body feeling like skin and bones instead of woman. When I went to release her, she clutched my arm, her eyes desperate as she looked at the road. "The car," she stuttered, pointing to the road where it had ran them off. "Gone," I dismissed, my mouth drawn tight at the memory of the cowards who'd driven off after causing the accident. "They drove off when they saw us stopping." She collapsed against me, shaking, when I said they'd driven off. "What's wrong?" "He'll come back," she whispered, her voice so low I had to lean down to catch the words. "He'll come back for me." Her hand went to her bruised cheek involuntarily, and I felt my gut clench. "The person who ran you off the road did this?" I muttered, barely keeping the anger out of my voice as she leaned against me. She nodded, and I saw her wince as she tried to straighten. "What's wrong?" She shook her head, but her hand went tellingly to her ribs. I reached for the edge of her shirt, yanking it up as she cried out, and found more bruises spanning her rib cage. "Son of a bitch," I ground out, tugging her shirt back down gently. She stared at me with petrified eyes, and I sighed, realizing I'd probably just scared the shit out of her even more. "I'm sorry. I just wanted to know what he'd done so when I kill him, I can justify it." "Creed," Hank called, and I glanced over the top of the car as he stood up from a crouch by the girl's mom. He shook his head, his hand making the sign of the cross automatically, and I locked my jaw. Those wide green eyes stared at me unblinkingly, and I knew when she realized. Pain pooled in her eyes as she crumpled against me, the only solid thing in a world that had just flipped upside down. "It'll be okay, little one," I attempted to reassure her, hating myself for the lie, because we both knew her world was never going to be okay again. "What you want to do?" Hank called, his steady gaze telling me he'd go along with whatever I decided. Normally, I'd call the local cops and make sure she was taken care of. But this wasn't our town, and we had no standing agreements with the local law enforcement here. The bruises on her, coupled with the fact someone had run them off the road, left me reluctant to leave her there. "Shit," I muttered, knowing the decision I was about to make was going to get me in hot water with the club. "You have anything in the car?" I asked, and when she didn't respond, I gave her a little shake. "Hey, I need you to listen to me right now. I know you're upset, but those guys are going to come back, and we don't need to be here when they do." Tears streaked down her cheeks, the green standing out against her red-rimmed eyes. "Don't let them hurt me," she begged, and my decision to take her with us solidified. If there was one thing I couldn't tolerate, it was some asshole abusing a woman or a child, and the girl in my arms fit both categories.